Me too.
So it was like
Yeah.
nice, to see that in there.
Yeah.
It's crazy because you don't always know how much to add. But
Right.
you want to add everything.
I remember getting that comic book on like one of my birthdays or something like that, and I read that.
Excuse me, man. I'm gonna sit right here.
Yeah, so that's a great-
Stream for Carson. I hope this thing is it playing?
All right, any more questions while Carson's setting up? Anybody else?
Everyone happy with what we're doing?
Yeah. What's your timetable?
Oh, that's a great question. So, well, right now we're on 1988, let's say Tiger Force, Night Force-ish.
Yeah.
So, I'm telling myself I'm 70%, and I'm telling myself that because it's making me feel good. And I'm trying to like not think about 1993 very much, but I think if we're in step with Carson and we're in step with Chad, I'm thinking spring, around this spring, we'll be done. And
I've been telling people May,
Yeah.
just give myself a little bit of padding.
yeah.
Okay.
So I'm thinking around, I think we're in step, and then it takes about 3 months to produce.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna say June, some summer. I'm just gonna say summer
Do
though.
you think you have books for next retro?
Oh, I better.
Yeah.
I'll probably pick it up when
If
they
not,
come
I'm
next year.
Probably not gonna be invited.
Yeah.
Huh? Yeah.
Anybody else? No, that's it.
Well, thanks for
Well,
coming.
thank you guys so much for all your support and everything. And
Thank you.
thank you, Jason, Carson, Ryan's behind the scenes big time, and everybody else. Thank you all so much for your support. And stop by the table and pick up some books and pick up some friends and say hi. All right.
And we're going to talk about Operation Recall next.
Yeah.
Thank you, Wayne.
Thank you, Carson, for helping out.
And it should be said that all of Wayne's good work, on shooting these figures and vehicles and all the editing, it's going to be featured as well on 3D Joe's. And so, please do buy his books. But also know that you'll be able to reference it on your mobile phone from 3D Joe's.
All right, you're up.
All right, thanks, Wayne.
Thanks, Carson.
Appreciate you, man. Good luck and Godspeed. I won't do many field guide updates. This is Operation Recall panel, but we did just finish shooting the figures, well over 8,000 photos. And Chad Huckle is working his way through them right now. He's working on 1988 as we speak. I was relieved to see that Wayne brought in backup support. It's so critical to build a team and let people, delegate and let
Yeah.
people help you, man, because
It was you that encouraged me.
yeah, absolutely.
I mean, indirectly encouraged me to do that.
Yeah, and it has to be the right person because it takes a very special personality like me and Wayne, a little bit probably on the spectrum.
We're hard to work with.
Get in there and just obsess over this stuff to the level that we do. And to find someone that has that level of commitment and dedication, it's really challenging. So
I haven't known Carson that long, but I do know that there's a lot of similarities in the
Yeah.
way that we work, in our work ethic, and our workflow.
Yeah.
So I can appreciate that. Thank you very much.
good to see the updates, man.
Thank you guys.
All right, so who here is familiar with Operation Recall?
Me.
Got a handful of you? All right.
Yeah.
So what we did, I'll tell the quick backstory. I did a book called The Art of G.I. Joe, A Real American Hero. It's an omnibus hardcover, big 13.5 by 14.5 book that featured all the painted artwork of G.I. Joe, A Real American Hero. In the process of working on that, I traveled the country and interviewed all the guys that worked on the brand and transcribed all that, worked it into the book. One chapter we were going to do in the book, though, was designing an all-new action figure. Everybody said yes to that concept, and so we went to work on it. 6 months later, 9 months later, we had a prototype figure and prototype accessories, and it was so cool that I said, you know what, let's take that out of the book and let's make our own toy line. So what you're getting ready to see is our own toy line that started from the Art of G.I. Joe book and has now grown to 20 figures for year 1 and 25 figures for year 2. Now, this isn't like just some nebulous thing that we're talking about. We actually have the Wave 1 FEPs. These are final engineering pilots. So these are not final, like it has explosion art on the background. There's some unfinished aspects of this. That's because this was produced several months ago. But I want to pass these around. And first I'm gonna show you really quickly who these guys are, and then I'll pass these around. So wave one, figure one is our good guy, Breacher. He's a door kicker with the Belgian Malinois. So he's like an old SWAT team guy. And I should let Matthew talk about which of wave one was your favorite. So it's Breacher and Hellhound. There he is. That's the package with the cross sell for the year 120 figures on the back. And then we have the Dark Reapers, who are the bad guy, kind of like Stormtroopers, super badass. And then there's the carded Dark Reapers, card art by Doug Hart, who was a package painter for Hasbro from 1984 to 1999. Then we have Mizuno Corps, who are our Jungle Troopers, and there they are on the card. And then we have an alternate version of Mizuno Corps that has different arms with different scarification patterns and a different skin tone. So I wanted to make an army builder that actually had some variation to it, which I think is a unique attribute, so that's cool. And then the final one is the big bad for the year, General Mortifero, or Mortifero, as my Spanish friends would tell me. I've been butchering that name for 2 years, so it's hard to get used to it. Mortifero. So anyway, General Mortifero has some nice soft goods on his shoulder. There's the packaged product. And, oh, spoiler alert. So Matthew, out of those four, which one was your favorite experience?
Okay. That's a tough one.
Now I'm going to pass around the actual figures so you guys can look at these. These are arriving this week. No joke. I got 9. Yes. It's been a long time coming, guys. It's been a long time coming. So these are FEPs, so there might be some imperfections on these that you notice. Don't sweat it. The final ones that got mass produced and are on their way here, we'll have those kinks worked out. Let's see. Dark Reapers is not in this set because I gave the prototype to Chris Scott, who was the concept creator for the figure. He's a Grindhouse Toys, so if you want to have a look at those and pass them around, enjoy them. All right, Matthew, back to you. Who's your
My favorite one is Breacher. I don't know why. On the repaint that I did or recently. But it's really a tough call because I enjoy doing all of them. Yeah, I'm gonna have to say Breacher on that. And a tight second would be the Reaper.
Yeah. Dark Reapers.
The repaint we were calling Range Reaper. 'Cause
Yes,
the,
yes.
The homage there.
So you guys haven't seen this yet. We've got something new here from Matthew LaCroix. For those that don't know Matthew LaCroix, he's been with me on Operation Recall from day one. When we made that first figure, it was a radio teletype operator with a carrier pigeon, Ritello, and Homer. And you'll see him in Wave 2. And Matthew painted that first prototype, and then how many have you done since? Maybe 10? Somewhere
Yeah,
around.
somewhere around there, 10 to
And now 13, right? So what we're gonna do is we're gonna keep Matthew in the game, and I'll tell you a little bit later how we're gonna have some more extended fun with these figures with Matthew. So, Matt, you want to talk about LaCroix's Toys and where they can find information?
Oh, yeah. So I'm Matt LaCroix. I'm on Instagram, LaCroix's Toys. I've been doing customs for years, just mainly 80s icon type characters and things like that. But people will commission me to make just about anything, like customs of themselves or things like that. But here in the past few years, I've been finding myself involved in the world of like prototype painting and stuff, and I've been doing them for Carson. I'm also doing them for other toy lines that come out as well. So it's been a fun road to go down to do the prototype painting. So that's basically it about me.
And Matthew's found a tremendous amount of success for this. He's getting very well known for this. Shaquille O'Neal was playing with his Eddie Murphy toys on
I forgot to
television.
say that.
So he's had some success with this.
Yeah, definitely. I
Adult
always forget
Swim.
to tell people about that.
Yeah, Adult Swim has commissioned him to make figures for their upcoming movie. Like he's had some great successes, and very lucky to have Matthew on the team. Okay, so that's wave one. I'm gonna shoot through these because I'm gonna show you all of year one and all of year two. So there's some spoilers in the panel. All right, so these are coming next week. I've got 900 sets coming to my house that I air freighted in. I paid an extra 14 grand so that the all-in people would have their toys at Christmas. I didn't want to miss that milestone that I had set for myself. The rest of the figures are on the seas already. It'll just take a little longer to get here via boat. So everybody should have theirs in January, by January. All-in backers will have theirs before Christmas. If you want to hold off to Christmas Day and take photos opening them next to the Christmas tree, bonus points from me. I just think that would be amazing to see people opening our toys on Christmas. Anyway, so this is Breacher dropping in with his Hellhound. Let me do 1 second. View, slide.
I don't know what you call that camo,
There you
Carson.
go. I would call it the Tetris.
The Tetris. Okay.
Yeah.
I love doing it. I don't know why.
You know, it's the shapes like the L's and the T's and that kind of thing. And that was invented, I think that was invented by Mark Pennington. And he popularized it with like Storm Shadow version 2, Shockwave, several figures. Pennington uses that quite a bit. So this is Breacher. He was designed by Mark Pennington, who was the second figure designer for G.I. Joe Real American Hero after Ron Rudat. And he's got that famous Tetris camo. So this is Breacher getting ready to drop in on the Dark Reapers. And then, of course, the Mizumu Corps are hard at work with their weapons. You'll notice a new character in there, a second character in there. And then there's Mortifero in the background. These are FEPs that I sent off to get photographed, and the photographer did an amazing job with these. I'm only showing these here. I'm not putting these up online yet. Please don't put them up online yet. These are going to be in Toy Collector magazine in January. So I'm trying to hold off for that. There's Breacher kicking down the door, as one does. And he's got a Dark Reapers underneath there. And so Mortifero was pretty pissed off about this incursion, I would say. So he's mounting up the troops. Now the Dark Reapers are out there looking for him. There's another Year 2 character right there in the middle. And so they mount up the hunt, and Hellhound knows they're in trouble. They're surrounded. So then they get captured, and they're being held by Mortifero. How will it end? So this is just a fun little adventure of what story can we tell with these 4 figures. This is the first 4 figures that we'll have for Wave 1. I can't wait to see you guys get these in your hands and take your own photos and post really cool stuff like this. But that was a really fun exercise. All right, so this is Wave 2. We're finally releasing Rotello and Homer. This was my idea when I was a kid, when I was 10 years old in 1989. So all these years later, I'll finally have this toy in hand, which is really amazing. And this is the first one. That's actually the paint master right there on the right that Matthew LaPoy painted, gosh, about 3 years ago now.
Yep.
Yeah, it's been a
Time
while.
flies, man.
We've been at it for a while, and my beard, my goatee keeps getting grayer. We're turning into Santa Claus.
Yep. Exactly.
I love it. All right, so this is Rotello and Homer. There's the package. And, you know, I'll try to remember to say who designed each figure. This was designed by Ron Rudat. Package paintings are all by Doug Hart. Every figure was reviewed by Kirk Bazigian as the brand manager and myself. And Larry Hama, who wrote all the G.I. Joe comic books and still writes the G.I. Joe comic books, he's written all the dossiers, which we turn into the file cards. Ed Morrill, that did all the branding and package design, he did all the package design with his son Sean. So it's like we got the Beatles back together to make a new album. I could not be happier with the fact that everybody said yes to this dream, and they're all really enrolled and enlisted in it. So Wave 2, second figure is Soul Eagle. He's Puerto Rican and Mexican. His father was a championship wrestler, and he carries his belt in honor of him. He's got a big old Gatling gun. He's really diesel. We got some size variation on these figures. So the shortest figure will be our Japanese technologist, Runback. She'll be 3.5 inches, and our tallest figure will be 4 inches. And that's because the guys that did G.I. Joe back in the day always wanted to do that, and the engineering team wouldn't let them do it. It was too complicated. Yet just $1, and they wanted them all to fit in the same vehicles and make sure there was no problems there. So I understand why they did it, but we're not going to do it that way. So this is an example of a tall guy. His name's Bear Claw, and he comes with a little bitty raccoon named Wilson. This is
Fun too.
Yeah. So both of those were designed by Ron Rudat, Bear Claw and Wilson, as well as Soul Eagle. And then we have Bingle, also designed by Ron Rudat. She's an Indian intelligence sniper, and she's got a beautiful gun case. And this is one of those that I fell more and more in love with the more we worked on her. All right, so this is the prototype figures for Wave 2 with all of their accessories. So this is them all geared up. And I'm actually showing some alternate parts there for Bingle. She's got alternate hair and an alternate face mask. And the thing I'm going to tell you guys about in a little bit is when we do second releases of these figures, we're going to do something special for you. I don't want it to feel like, oh, here's another repaint like Tiger Force or Python Patrol. It's just a straight up repaint. So we'll get into that. There's Salty Dog, and he's a Navy Seabee, which is an MOS that I don't think had been covered before, so that's cool. Ron Rudat. And then Damselfly is a bad girl. She's a mercenary. She's retired from the Greek Royal Air Force, so she's got the bright blue Air Force colors there. And it's not the Royal Air Force. I forget what it's called. Hellenic Air Force, I believe. Anyway, so Damselfly, her first version will be in those bright blues, and then you'll see her second version, which is pretty drastically different later. This is our Ninja, and he's got a prosthetic leg, which is really cool. And the second version of him will have an entirely new leg because we have a story beat where he gets into a big battle with cadavers, and they beat him severely, and they severely damage his leg, but he gets out alive, and next time you see him, he's got a newer more reinforced, more diesel leg. So this is Runback, our Japanese intelligence technologist that I was talking about. She's got a really cool accessory called Pack Dog, which is basically a robotic dog, but it carries backpacks underneath, and it'll carry crates or Gatling guns or munitions or anything you need to get it out to the troops. So I think that's going to be the most popular accessory from the line. Let's see how it goes. So this is where we're at on wave 3. So I've already showed you wave 1 is in hand, and you guys are hopefully passing them around and looking at them. Wave 2 is already in the prototype phase. The prototypes are already approved, and we're already cutting molds, and we've already got test shots, which means it's plastic poured from the steel cut molds. That's where we're at with wave 2. Wave 3 is in the prototype phase, where you go through multiple prototypes. So it's a first model, and then a second model, and then a check model, which means like check it, make sure everything's perfect, because we're about to cut steel, and that gets expensive. So you go through a few models first, and then you cut steel, and then you pour it, and then that's a test shot. And then you can still do revisions. Like, for example, something wasn't perfect with Dark Reapers Wave 1. We cut the mold, we poured it, I got the prototypes. I was like, oh, his legs go just, his feet go just out a little bit. Yeah, so we had to recut that mold. I mean, it was another $7,000, but it's like, I'm not going to do this wrong. If I see something and I know it's wrong, you know, Matthew has experience with this. Matthew did a figure line called Strike Force Alpha, which he didn't mention yet either. So I gotta keep dropping names. But so Matthew's been through this whole engineering and manufacturing process, and he knows well. But anyway, so there's a look at the second leg and to me it looks more like Marvel's Deathlock. It's more muscular, and that came from one of the initial sketches from Mark Pennington. So I'm very excited to get new pieces in there. This is Night Raid Nazi, and so he's a portly, grizzled, old mercenary veteran, and we're very excited about him. Carter just finished the sculptor revisions on him. And Cadavers, another really popular bad guy, like out of all the orders. Actually, you can see at the bottom corner, it's kind of insider info. We pre-sold 2,151 cadavers, according to that little tidbit. And I want you guys to know, we're not overproducing these. We're making 3,000 of each figure. So those of you that went all in and helped us actually make these toys, thank you so much. We're not gonna overproduce them to the point that we're having big sales down the road. You won't see these at Ross. You won't see these at Ollie's. And I'm not gonna feel any pricing pressure to offload them. So, like I said, we're making 3,000 of each. We've already sold 2,100 of that. When those hit and people start taking photos of them, they're gonna sell through. And so if we do, you know, another release of them, it'll probably be like what RoboSkull did with their 3 3/4 inch figure, where they did a couple different card backs with different artwork, or we might change a piece or two or something like that. I don't want to flood the market. You know, I want to make a collectible that will hold its value and that you guys will enjoy. And so this is Lilith, the paratrooper. She's a Inuit from Alaska, and she's got like little tattoos next to her eyes right here. She's got little tattoos on her chin. They're very subtle. And version 2 of her, spoiler alert, is going to have a working parachute. But that's got to be a deluxe figure at a slightly higher price point. She's also going to have a different head with a removable breathing mask, a halo mask, kind of like the Battle Force 2000 blaster figure that had the 2 little pegs that peg in. So I'll show you more on that later. I wanted to do, we pre-sold these, right, through Kickstarter. So we have to maintain a certain price point for everything we're delivering now. But for year 2, I'm just saying, what the hell, the line's going to be successful. I'm just doubling down on it. So working parachutes and things like that are going to be working their way in. We do have some play features in year 1. This is the only spring-loaded launcher of the line. So this is Clanker and Tank. That's our genetically engineered tactical tortoise. And he's got a spring-loaded launcher that sits up on his back. And Clanker himself is a jetpack trooper. So he goes up with the smart grenade launcher. He laser spots on the target, and Tank shoots the missile at the target. So they're a good team. And I wanted to show you guys the size comparison, right? It's pretty subtle. So this is a 3.75 inch figure, actually 2 of them next to a 4 inch figure. You can see though, not only is the height difference there, the shoulder width difference is there. Now, the shoulder pegs are going to be the same. You're still going to be able to swap parts, so don't worry about that. But what we wanted to do was create a height variation as well as a width variation. And when you do that, if you've seen Super 7's Big Lob, I think they might have seen what we were doing.
Yeah, they might have.
They might have. We've been talking about this for a few years. But they stretched Big Lob, and I was happy that they did. He deserves to be taller. He needs to be taller. But what I think somebody pointed out is that they didn't stretch it proportionally across the different pieces. And so one of the things you gotta be careful with, like when we did Soul Eagle, we stretched the calf, the lower leg, we stretched the upper leg, and we stretched the torso, right? So that height variation should be, yes sir, it should be spread across the line.
Your bubble here came off and looks like your gun's falling out here.
Is, let me see it, bring it up, thank you. Oh, the pistol.
Yeah.
No. Yeah, he's been like that for weeks.
Okay.
He's been around to a few shows. We'll just set him right here, and then if you want to pass everybody else around.
Sorry
So,
about that.
no problem at all.
Didn't want things to get lost.
It's been around to like 2 or 3 shows, and it happens. So this is Scrounger and Luna. This is a quartermaster who's another role that I don't think we've, you enjoyed that one. Yeah.
It's the general, man.
Yeah, so tell them who it's based on.
Prubis, right?
Yeah, so Bob Prupis.
Prubis.
So Bob Prupis was a quartermaster himself. He served in the Korean War. If you guys have ever heard Bob Prupis' name, it's probably because he was a toy buyer that was hired by Hasbro in the 70s to come in and revamp their buying and marketing departments. And so Bob Prupis ended up becoming vice president of Boys Toys and leading the charge on G.I. Joe: A Real American Hero in 1980, 1981. Prupis is the guy that got Kirk Bazigian and Ron Rudat together and Wayne Luther, the vehicle designer, and formed the team that got G.I. Joe back on shelves in 1982. So Bob Prupis is a very special individual, huge contributor to the brand, and I'm friends with his daughter, and I said, you know, we've got this quartermaster character that Kirk Bazigian really responded to because Prupis was a quartermaster, and I said, would you be all right with us naming him Bob Prupis? And creating a dossier. Larry Hama created a dossier that plays off of some of the story beats that are accurate to Bob's childhood. So this is a special figure. All right, and then we have Snakehead. This is another very, very popular figure. Like we've already sold 2,100 of this guy too. So this is the Underwater Enemy Trooper. This was designed by Mark Pennington, who also did the Hydro Vipers. So if you remember, Hydro Vipers had one webbed hand and one normal hand. We're actually going to do swappable hands on this. So you're going to have 2 cupped hands, so you can hold the accessories when you want to, and then we're going to have 2 open hands that show the webbing. So if you just want to pose in swimming, you can do that too. So I guess I should have said up front, one of the innovations of this line is articulated wrist, which we call out, swivel wrist battle grip.
Most won't be removable though, right?
That's right. That's right. The only figure that will actually be like a pop and swap will be Snakeheads, because that's a key feature of that character design. So yeah, thanks for calling that out. All right, so this is, we're winding it down for year 1. This is the first Subline team member. This is called Midnight Ops, and this is Ritello and Homer in a much darker, we'll say if you were a force that went out at night on missions,
A little flash of red.
then you might have that kind of color scheme if you were a force that only fought at night. All right. So there he is with the packaging. This was my chance to like really break away from the explosion background and create. So what I went for was like a shattered glass. Like he just busted through the glass and is coming in. And I was really happy with that. And then this is a Doug Hart painting, but I got to get in there and retouch it and recolor it and everything. So I've had a lot of fun as an artist working with these guys, jumping in where I can. And the mail order figure, I forgot about this guy. This is the mail order figure for year 1. We have a story beat, and I'll pass this around. It's okay. Everybody who's an all-in backer is getting that figure for free. You don't need to do anything. It's just going to come with Wave 5. So thank you for backing all in. The story beat is that right up front, the good guys, they're named Atlas, the anti-terrorist legion of allied soldiers. They get attacked by a new enemy, Orthrus, which is a 2-headed dog in Greek mythology. And Orthrus catches them sleeping, literally. Overnight, they murder all the Atlas operatives that are current at that time. So they have to recall all the previous operatives, and that's where the Operation Recall name comes into the storyline. And those recall operatives have to come in, find out who this new enemy is, and capture them and punish them. So by the end of the 8-issue arc, if we're fortunate enough to do a comic book, he will have been captured. Mortifero will have been captured, and they will take him in the interrogation room, maybe slap him around a little bit, and they will peel his mask off. But it turns out his whole face is tattooed black. The white that you see is his pale skin, and he's an impenetrable force. It doesn't matter if you're interrogating him, if you strip him down, you're not going to get anything out of him. And at the end of that arc, we will reveal, should I say that? You guys want to hear it?
I'm recording.
Okay, we're streaming. At the end of that arc, we're going to reveal, hey, look, yeah, you might have captured me, but we're Orthrus. It's a double-headed dog on us. So they don't even know the whole second half of the organization yet. They've just captured the first half. So it's going to be fun. And it's going to be a redback file card, which you'll see in a little white cardboard box. So we're definitely hitting you guys in the nostalgia feels.
The blood splatter is sick.
Yeah, I love the blood splatter. And so, you know, to me, when you're playing with it, the blood is on his mace, like he just, you know, inflicted some punishment on somebody, and the splatter has come back and hit him and then dripped down. So it's not his blood, like he's being interrogated,
Right.
beaten up. It's his blood, like he's a sadistic leader. And if you read the Larry Hama written file card, it definitely confirms that part of the story. So that's it for year one. So year two, we're going to, actually, do we have any questions about year one? No? Everybody good? All right. So for year two, the first 5 figures are going to be new characters. So Glide Path is an entirely new design, new figure, new sculpt. This was one of the original submissions. We took 270 submissions from the community. And we picked our top 16 that we were going to make for year one. And we picked our second 16 that we were going to make for year two as the original vision went. As with most things, I grew it 20 figures for year one and 25 for year two, because dream big, kids. So anyway, we'll pull it off. And Mark Pennington is currently doing design work for year two, as is Ron Rudat. This is Mark Pennington's design work for Glide Path. So basically, she's got a squirrel suit on. You guys have seen the base jumpers that jump off the cliffs and they do all kinds of cool tricks. Snake Eyes and Resolute did it off the back of a C-130. He did a little squirrel dive in and then did the running landing on the deck. Not some of my favorite parts of Resolute. So anyway, she's looking great. This dude is sick. This is an enemy arsonist. Why have we never had an arsonist? Yes, we've had a flamethrower, like Ice Cream Soldier or whatever. Why have we not had a guy that is like a terrorist that goes in and just burns things down? So that's what this guy does. The working name is Matchstick, but when Larry gets to write the dossiers for these, he also gets to change the names. So I don't ever want to get people too attached to like Glide Path, for example, or Matchstick here, but that's the working naming for him. Now, his head is not always on fire, Ghost Rider. He's got a little kind of texture on his head, like a Bunsen burner, like a flame, like a little oven flame, like a camping stove, you know? So I have this little texture here, and then when he wants to really intimidate somebody, he'll flip a button, and the flame comes up, and like, you're gonna go running from that dude. There's no way you're approaching Matchstick when he's like flame on Johnny Blaze. So he looks incredible. I'm just so happy with this figure. Like I said, we're gonna have a solid piece of plastic that does not let the light through, is not like translucent, but then we're gonna take that plastic out of the head. The head's gonna be hollowed out, and it's gonna have that light transfusion through the clear flame piece, and the eyes are gonna be hollowed out, so hopefully a little light comes through and pipes through. They call it light piping, and I got that from Darkseid, from the old DC 80s figure line. So that's one of the fun parts for me, thinking through like from an engineering perspective, what can we do that'll be fun and pay off when it's in your hand. We're going to have a Dark Reaper's officer, which when you move up the ranks in Orthrus, you get a little bit more blinged out accessories, so he's got some gold there. And he's also got some additional markings on the costume. It's a very, very popular figure. There's the card back, and that's not the final card back. And then for the Mizumu Corps, we actually tooled up a third set of arms. So you get a third set of scarification patterns on the arms, and then you get a all new head. So he's a Mizumu Corps, basically unmasked because he's the leader, and he's not worried about maintaining anonymity. There's his painting, again by Doug Hart. And so I had Doug Hart do the Werejackal package painting, but then also do the face portrait. And I love the face portrait for this. It's like totally screaming Incredible Hulk, tons of emotion. So yeah, that's the Werejackal for year two. And then this is Ron Rudat's new design, tentatively called Crossroads. If you remember the pack rats, do you guys remember those little remote controlled accessories? Yep. So he's gonna have a remote controlled, it's gonna be a tripod, a big machine gun, and an ammo can that's on wheels, and that's gonna be remote controlled by him. He'll see it in his heads up display. And he's also got a little Gatling gun on his arm, and the backpack will feed ammunition. We will not have a cable from the gun to the backpack because we want it to be more remote than that. And let's see, this is Wave 2. So Wave 2 is all Midnight Ops. So you already saw Rotello from year one. There's 5 more Midnight Ops for this. So here's Bear Claw and Wilson. And I think he just looks amazing in the darker color palette. You know, some people saw the first Bear Claw and Wilson, they were like, you know, is that khaki, is that yellow, that's too bright for a woodsman? And I'm like, it's toy line. Like, that's totally, this is what we always did. Like in G4 Little American Hero, there was always a touch of color. It's okay to have a touch of color. You know, how'd you feel when, did you paint Bear Claw?
Yeah.
How'd you feel when you were painting that yellow?
I love the crazy bright colors anyways.
As you'll see, spoiler alert, some of the stuff we've been working on more recently, we enjoy a little color here and there. For those of you that do not enjoy a lot of color, that's what Midnight Ops is for. So you got 5 figures here that are very toned down, dark, you know, more military accurate, if you want to call it that. But still, this is a toy line. He's still got a raccoon, like we're still having fun. But it's got a toned down color palette. So there's Bear Claw and Wilson. There's Bengal. So Bengal, man, she looks so good. I wish you guys could see this at full resolution. That color scheme made me fall in love with that figure. That's my favorite female figure of the whole first 2 years. She's incredible looking. So what we did though, the year 1 version of her has her hair up in a bun. Year 2, we're making all the hair pieces separate, a la Baroness 1984. If you look at the girls that they made, Scarlet, not great. CoverGirl, not great. And I'm just talking about portraits and the hair, right? Jinx, no hair, nothing. Zorana, they really struggled with Zorana's hair on that portrait. Lady J, she had a baseball hat on. And then Scarlet, 93, she had the, you know, the plug-in hair kind of stuff, which I don't think looks that great. So we're going all Baroness 1984. All of our ladies have multi-material. What this means is you can cast the head in that flesh-colored plastic so it looks right, and then all the hair will be molded in the color that it's supposed to be. So you don't have to worry about paint apps. You don't have to worry about that stuff scratching off, and it has a much better, more realistic look. I just remember when I had 1984 Baroness in hand, I was like, whoa, this is next level. Just like, because you want to peel the hair back and see how it connected. It's like with Zartan when he had that little face mask thing on. Yeah, you want to play with it because it's like a softer plastic too. So anyway, with Baroness, she's going to have her hair down at night, but she's also going to have some night vision goggles, and then she's got an olive drab face mask that she puts on. So when you see the first Bengal from year 1, that's the more brightly colored, right next to her, it feels like a totally different character. So there's a look at her carded. And here is, I have not updated this card art yet to show his revised new leg, so that will be done. And there's Night Raid and Ozzy, and Scrounger and Luna. All right, so that's it for the Midnight Ops. Now, we got 5 more all-new figures. Who remembers Great Whites from the original pitch? Anybody out there? Yeah, got a head nod. All right, so this was a very popular submission. People love the deep sea diver concept, but when Kirk Bazikian says, I want to go lean and mean and fast swimming, you're like, cool, Kirk. So
Yeah.
you do it. You don't bring in these guys if you're not going to like trust their intuition. And it's proven itself out because Snakeheads is a really good seller. So Kirk knows what he's talking about. Now that said, I didn't want to cast that aside entirely. So we're bringing him back, and he will have the same arms and legs of Snakeheads, but he'll have an entirely new waist piece, chest piece, shoulder pads will be separate, and then he'll have a new helmet and a new head sculpt. So a lot of new pieces and parts there. These are 2 entirely new concepts that are going to be developed, and so this is Ordeal and Larva. And then Damselfly. By year 2, she's going to have an entirely different head, helmeted, and she's going to be fully dyed in the wool Orthrus at this point. So in the start of the first story, she's a mercenary. She's working for hire, but she's not totally in love with the Mortifero ideology. By this point, she's 100% Orthrus. And then I love this guy. So Aurelius, a lot of these, you know, I could say who these concepts were by. This was by Adam Riches, who gave us several great concepts, and we've refined it into the design you see on the right. I'm very excited about him. Now, Desert Ops. These are the version 2 figures of the good guys in entirely different Desert Ops outfits, and you will see some new pieces and parts for these. So Breacher, for example, has a new head sculpt and has a Ronin ballistic helmet. That's a 3-color helmet. We're not cutting costs anywhere. That's an olive drab helmet with a black face mask with green lenses. Like we are doing a 4-color camo here. You got the orange underneath, you got the white, and you got the black outlines on it on top of the tan. So 5 if you count the plastic that's molded in it. We are not cutting any costs on paint apps. This is like mid to late 80s G.I. Joe when they were not cutting any paint apps. It like pains me to look at the 90s now when they really started cutting paint apps in it. The brand really suffered for it. So we're not going to fall into that trap. There's the packaging. That's maybe the first time you guys have seen the Desert Ops packaging. It was another chance for us to break out of that explosion background and create an environment for these guys. So what I created was just kind of like this little mountaintop scene going back behind them in a desert. Wanted it to feel really hot, just like radiating heat. But you need to do that centered white so that the figure can pop right off of it. So that was our big sun in the background there, and had a lot of fun with this. And each one of these backgrounds, as you'll see, is completely customized. Thank you. Is completely customized with the mountains moved around and the sun rotated and things like that to try to keep it fresh, so you're not looking at the exact same background. And we also added the white outline to each of these characters to make them pop off a bit. So I'm really happy with these. Let's see if there's any new parts. So Breacher gets a new head, a new helmet. Soul Eagle gets an entirely different deco. Obviously, all these have entirely different decos, but he gets a poncho. So we're doing soft goods for him. And I've already seen the tests of these from the factory, and they look really cool. So you can see the drawing in the top right corner. And I mean, like, look at his green eyes there. It was so cool, man. And I got to give a shout out to the Operation Recall Brain Trust. The people that we picked, their concepts and then went through development, they've been on the ride with me all along in this one big face group chat. And I put so many things in front of them, and they always give me feedback. Matthew just joined us, and he can speak to the level of communication that we have in there. It's important when you're working on these projects not to feel like you're alone in them, right? And so getting like your people that you trust together in a little focus group really helps to like bounce ideas off. And the poncho came from the guy that originally created this figure, David. So shout out to David. So there's the modified artwork for that. And there's Pack Dog, Run Back and Pack Dog. And as you can see, she's got a boomy hat on, which means she has a new head sculpt. So that'll be different there. Lilith has a new head sculpt and has a removable halo mask and has a working parachute with an opening backpack, just like the 1984, 1985 mail order parachute pack. So we're developing that right now. That backpack will be 2 pieces plus the parachute, plus the head, plus the face mask. So we're adding like 4 or 5 new pieces right there for that one. So we want to keep it fresh. We don't just want to repaint it and re-release it. And then we have Clanker and Tank. Now he already had like 37 parts, so we're not making any new parts for him. I'm kidding. We might do a different head for him. The head sculpt was inspired by Brandon Lee, who played in The Crow. And this is a Chinese American.